I apologize. I shouldn't be eating like this. So good evening, everybody. I want to say welcome back to Cryptotherapy 589. This is season 4. As you guys know, we've had some changes. We had some people on the team step out or step back for a couple minutes and so forth. But today, my new co-host is going to be G Money moving forward, and we have our first official guest, OPTI-Mystic Prime, aka Amanda. Hey, how's it going, Amanda? How's everything going for you?
Excellent, as Lady K would say.
Oh, give me a second. I gotta fix something. All right, let me see if we're still good. Yeah, sorry. One of the X account didn't want to work, so we're streaming on Twitch and we're also streaming on YouTube. So, but we're all out here rocking. So it's good to see you. How everything's going pretty good.
Yeah, I just remembered right now I was gonna bring candy canes for you.
Man, do you want to tell a story? Or you want me to tell it?
Well, I can tell you my version up until, and then you can tell the story. So, first night in Vegas, I'm at 6HJ's rental penthouse, and Fuma comes around the corner and he's like, Opti! And I'm like, oh my gosh, Fuma! You know, we do our thing. And he's like, first thing, he's like, I had a dream about you. I was like, you had a dream about me. He's like, I gotta tell you. Like, first thing, no pleasantries, just I have to tell you this dream. I was like, whatever. And then he proceeds to tell me that he had this dream like 6 months ago, and this is the very first time I'm hearing about it. So I got to hear it live in person, and maybe you want to share the story because I think it's great.
Okay. I'll share the story. What's up, Zbeck Savage? What's up, DCA Crypto Dave? What's up, lurkers? I'm going to share the story, then we're going to talk about you. So let me give you all some backstory. I met Opti last year in Austin at an Ooga party. And it was like, I don't say love at first sight, but hey, what's up, man? You know, we was just the energy was like, what's like, give me a hug, what's up? Had heard
Sister
about her.
And brother immediately.
Yeah, just had heard about her, heard about the energy. And we get to this party late. I pop out of the car and the energy was just cool and raw. So we start talking, and you know, everybody talks and they go party, hang out, talk a little bit more. So that's how it was like the whole time, right? So here it is. This is months later, dude. I go to sleep, of course, and I start dreaming. And here was the dream. Most of you guys heard me say this before. I dreamed that the whole gang of us, all the people who usually go to crypto events, you know who you are. You guys know how we gaggle to parties together and how everybody else meets up. So I dreamed that we had went, about 3 cars had pulled up to this small brick house, and Berserker, aka Aaron, was like, he gets out and he goes, in bags there, everybody's there, and they're like, hey, he's like, hey, it's safe to eat in his house. And it's like one of those brick houses that they have in DeLand, G. So it's like, you know, the small brick house, it's like the small gray brick house in the middle of the hood. You know, it's always tan with a flat roof. It was one of those. So he was like, it's safe to eat here. We're going to be good. So we all walk in, and it's just not catered. It's just like some tables with food on it. So we all ate, and I remember Crypto OG is there. Everybody's there. But OPTI-Mystic Prime wasn't there. So we were there, and he was like, and then after we get done, he's like, all right, we're going to go to the party now. So we get in the cars and we caravan to the party, and it's this huge house. Like, the way the house is set up is like the front door is on the far right hand side. It's one of those, looks like, I call them the Dallas houses, where it's real huge in the front, and we could kind of see in the windows, and people were partying there having a good time. And I was like, oh man, I want to go in. I want to go in. And he was like, Aaron was like, you can't go in. Or Berserker was like, you can't go in. And I'm like, well, why? He was like, we don't have security with us. We just can't go. We don't have security. And I looked at OG and he was like, you know what it is. And I looked at Marvin Davis and he was just like, and the feeling I had was we were so rich that we couldn't go in places. And someone like Berserker had to always remind us where we can't go. And I remember we were like, man, we're going to the party. We can't even have a good time. So we walked through the side gate and like somebody let us inside the gate. And when we went in, it was like an atrium with green trees and stuff everywhere. And we had went through that. We went through that atrium and we get to this other thing and a guy let us in. So he lets us all in and we're just standing there. You know how when everyone's just at a pool party, they're just kind of standing on the sidelines. Like, so we're standing there and under this huge gazebo and there's this huge pool. And I remember we were all just miserable. And then here's Optimus Prime. She pops up with her, hey, how you doing, guys? And we're like, hey, what's up? And she started giving us candy canes. And I remember we were so happy about these candy canes. We were just like ecstatic, like we'd never had a candy cane. And then I woke up like, what the hell? So I called Bubba. I was like, I called Bubba and Marvin. I'm like, man, let me tell you what I dreamed last night. So it was great, man. That tells you the positive effect that you have on people's lives, that they can have a dream and have all the money and be miserable. And then you just pop up with a candy cane and you change their whole life. So
it's the little
next time I
things.
see you, I have to bring candy canes is the moral of the story.
You know? So let's someone's trying to call me, they'll be all right. So let's go this route. Optimistic Prime, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Amanda Noelle Camellia Jones Archer. I'm 43. I'll be 44 in November. I live on a school bus named Optimistic Prime with my 3 children, 10, almost 10 in 2 weeks, 8 and 6. My husband, James, and our dog, and our now 2 cats. Crazy, crazy.
Wow.
And we've lived on the bus now for 8 years.
Nice.
I'm in the truck. I'm on a main road, and there's people walking by right this second. So pardon me. Yeah, so we've been here 8 years. We set off into the Mystic on the solstice. I guess like right now, 8 years ago, with the dream of getting to Vancouver Island, which had been my dream from a very young age because my biological father had lived here my whole life. And I met him when I was 30. And so I'd gone home and I had said to James, like, I really love our love, but if you don't want to have babies with me, I'm going to Vancouver Island. And promptly got pregnant like 4 months later. And then we ended up getting pregnant again after Delilah was born. And then when Sterling was a month old, the truck broke down like 3 times when I was pregnant. And after Sterling was born, and every time the mechanic said like it's going to cost a couple grand, and we did not have that kind of money. And every time by some miracle, it was just like a quick fix, $100, $200. So we started contemplating going someplace where if the car broke down, we wouldn't freeze to death on the side of the road. And so when we did the calculations, I was driving him to work, 25 kilometers there, 25 back. That's about, I guess, like 18 miles. And maybe a little bit less, 15. We did the calculation that if I drove him to work for 3 months, it would be 5,000 kilometers, which would be how far it would be to cross the country. So we basically had this conversation about maybe, just maybe, driving into the Mystic and seeing what happened and sort of changing our life. We had gotten to the point where we were buying like those home lottery tickets. I think the last one we bought was like for this northern town with a smart car, and it was like way more cold than we were. And we were like, okay, we've obviously like accepted the end of this life. And so you can only buy those lottery tickets in the place that you live. And so we basically said, if we, we're really rich, where would we live? And the answer was Vancouver Island. So we started looking for cheap RVs, started researching buses, and then went to look at a few. And then this ad popped up for a $1,500 1996 school bus in Toronto. So we drove down one day, and there's a whole story here. And we got it has to do with my mom and serendipity and the woo woo. I have the woo woo book club. My life is just full of woo woo. And so we ended up having $1,500 in our bank account. We got the bus. We got married a couple of months later, and then we drove into the Mystic to Vancouver Island. And we decided that wherever the bus broke down is where we would stay.
Whoa.
And yeah. And so we were on maternity leave, so that sort of helped in Canada, you get a pretty decent amount of months. It's 60% of your income, and I was making minimum wage, but it was enough to pay for gas, and you can share it with your partner too. So we had sort of split the weeks, giving us sort of this opportunity to go then and, still, not be making much, but be making enough. And so we by some miracle, got to the island and ended up staying at a farm for a little while, work trading there. Then we got kicked off of there the week of our anniversary, like our dating anniversary, the first time we had ever hung out together. And I had wanted to get legally married because we tied the knot in Ontario on Victoria Day. So we were in Victoria on our anniversary, of which I sort of wanted to get legally married. And so we got legally married next to the bus downtown Victoria on our anniversary in 2018. And then we got pregnant again.
You got three.
Yeah, so three. So Jameson, we got pregnant with Jimmy and Jimmy Moon. And we were working there's a whole story here and like the serendipity and how we sort of found our place. And then we were working on a tree nursery. At a tree nursery, it was the only place we could find a job and be able to park the bus. And then that spring, when we found out we were pregnant, we got connected to a local Indigenous family who had a place for us to park the bus. And because it's a reservation, the bylaws didn't pertain, so we couldn't get kicked off unless the owners themselves kicked us off. And so they felt pity for us and let us park the bus. And we've been on their land for 8 years.
What?
So I guess seven official on this land.
So that's like your extended family at this point.
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, we just tried to sort of stay out of the way and pay our rent on time and not cause problems. But as the years pass, like our kids are pretty close to their kids. So that's sort of our bridge. And actually I was driving my landlord around the grandson who inherited from grandma. So grandma sadly passed away last year. The woman who saved us. And her grandson inherited the land, and so he had been so gracious enough to let us stay. And he needed a ride to drive around a couple weeks ago to jobs, and I have a truck, so it was pretty special. I drove him around, and we got to catch up a little bit, and talk about a little bit about my projects and my dreams, and so we're it's definitely home. I mean, for now it's home. And when we do leave, I tell them every time, like I pay rent, every time I see them, like, I am still planning on leaving, I promise. Like, I am not here forever. I'm not gonna live on this school bus forever. But thank you so much for letting us stay and grow our little dreams out. And I'm still dreaming, and I still work on the plan to get out. So that's what I'm working on still to this day, after all these years, still dreaming a little dream of heaven on earth, where people like me can find home.
I tell you, Gerard, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
No, this is an amazing story. There's so many different ways to approach this right now. I would just, the question that I have is, what was that driving force
Yeah,
to get you like,
you like literally pulled yourself out of the matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. Like, honestly, when we were driving, James and I joked about feeling like we were refugees before there was anything to be a refugee from. And we were sort of joking that like we got to take our things. And like intuitively, I guess we saw the apocalypse coming. I mean, I had been in nursing school for 7 out of 8 semesters from 2011 to 2013. And I ended up quitting 4 days before the end of my second last semester. So I had done 7 full semesters of my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And essentially, the last thing, I mean, I bumped up against a lot of people. I was a really good nurse, and I never bumped up against the patients, but I always bumped up against authority. I was also older. Like I started nursing school when I was like 27 or 28. And so I'd already seen a lot and done a lot, and I'd already sort of designed my personality, like I wasn't there to change it. I was there to find a profession that would allow me to get out of poverty while also trying to fulfill my dream of like helping the world, which had been my dream since I was a little girl. And the last thing that they complained about was that I asked too many questions. And it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was like there was so many reasons to leave, and I had always stayed because I felt like it was harder to complete the journey than to leave. And the day that I left, I felt like I was more afraid to leave with no idea of what was going to come next. Being $50,000 in debt, being only 1 semester away from graduating. But it was like my mental health had just gotten so bad, and I was in acute mental health. Like that was my placement. And so it was like one of those moments where it was either you quit and give yourself a break and sort of reassess where you want your life to go, or you walk yourself into acute mental health as a patient and accept the system that you were working for. And so I was like, hell no, bro.
No.
I was like, I know that stick. I'm like, it's because I believe that most mental health issues are not you, it's the environment you're in. So I feel like you should try with changing your environment first. And then if the mental health issues go along for the ride, maybe we can talk about going, checking into counseling or emergency, mental health programs or whatever. So I quit and I cut off all my hair and I went on this like vision quest in the forest. And I walked myself into a coffee shop about 10 days later across the street from the restaurant I was working at. And this very handsome boy behind the counter made me a vanilla latte. And he ended up being the father of my babies.
Nice.
Why does this sound like a movie? This sounds like a movie, doesn't it?
Gee, that's why I was like saying, I was like, I gotta get OPTI on here, y'all. If y'all know, y'all see the energy, dog.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie. Like, you ever thought about just writing all this down, OPTI? Like, this is amazing.
Well, I started a blog actually when I was in my early 20s because of just like the insanity that was my life. Like my backstory, I'm an only child of a single mom. My mom died when I was 20. I was studying international development, which is like all the stuff that, are running the bullshit now. I represented the Ukraine at a mock NATO conference in 2003. I was trained to work for the UN or NATO or something like that, like an NGO. That was the plan. Went to Africa, went to Zim for 3 months after my degree. And like finished up my degree, promised my mom when she died, like, okay, fine, I'll finish my degree. So I finished it up, and then I'd also promised her that like my biggest dream was to go to Africa. So I figured that out, went there, realized like what the hell was I doing in Africa when I had my own mental health problems and there was enough problems back home. And so go home and figure that out. And so I started a blog. I went through some pretty insane times in my 20s. And I would have some pretty crazy stories, and I'd always call my friends up and be like, oh my God, you won't even believe what happened last night. Like this guy. And then, so I started writing a blog about it. And I started training myself to like be more open, because one of the things I had observed around like as I was growing up is that people in their 40s tended to pretend that they weren't the people they were in their 20s, like almost like they had amnesia.
Yeah.
and they wouldn't admit like that, like the journey that I was, specifically my stepsister and stepbrother are 17 and 18 years older than me. And they were so cool when I met them. And I was like 7, you know? And by the time I was in my 20s, they were in their 40s, nothing like they were in their 20s. I was like, what happened to the person you were in your 20s? Like, you were way cooler.
The
And
conservative.
so,
Oh,
yeah,
wait, do that.
yeah,
Sorry.
that
Deny,
part.
deny, deny. I did what? I never did that.
Never. And so I observed that and I was like, you know what? I think that life journey it's important to own the journey. And so I basically just got into the habit of sharing all the embarrassing parts so that one day I wouldn't, first of all, I felt like if I was going to change the world, somebody would come for me one day. And secrets are always ruin everything. So if I admitted my journey to the world up front, then there would be no surprises. And so then, I mean, I've always dreamt that like I get my book done and, maybe it would be a movie, but I mean, this is the movie, right? Like we're sharing it on interviews and building the projects I'm building out, and that it's like everybody that I am friends with, my magical internet friends, they all have epic stories, and that's sort of part of it is that like, each person that shares their journey with me, I'm just like, yeah, makes sense, makes sense that we're friends because we've all been through so much to get here. When you've faced the hardest roads, there's something that happens to you when you transmute all the depression and the evil and the
Right.
sadness and the victimhood and all that stuff that lands you in being optimistic prime. They don't
Yeah.
call me optimistic prime for nothing.
You were forged by the fires of life.
Yeah,
So
for sure. For sure.
First time in years, I'm speechless. Y'all keep going.
Oh. So yeah,
Okay.
you asked me what compelled us to like go into the mystic. I mean, I had God, I would say, to be honest with you, because it was just blind faith. It was blind faith, and it was just wanting a change and knowing that like my heart had always wanted to be here. If I were, having children, wanting to be able to like be outdoor. I'm a little bit of a pussy when it comes to the weather. And like freezing cold and me ain't really friends.
Oh, you live in Vancouver though.
That's why we came, because I could actually like spend a lot of time out like Vancouver Island, which is like, really warm.
Okay.
Like, it only gets below freezing like for 1 week a year.
So if you were to say
really,
Toronto is here, are you north of Toronto? Like a north?
So we're next to Seattle.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
they're more west. They're more west.
Okay. Because I'm like,
So Toronto is in the middle, right? New York, that's like New York, Buffalo area. And so then we drove 5,000 kilometers across the country to Vancouver Island. And Vancouver Island is like, you can grow oranges here.
oh, okay. Because Because I
So
was
it's the
just
warmest place in the whole country. It
okay.
does not get like it is. Even if you get off the island and you go to the mainland, it snows way more there. Like it gets way. It's just like we're just north of the Olympic Mountains, like north of Seattle. We're in this like really weird pocket, and so just the way the jet stream goes, like, yeah, it doesn't really go past under freezing. We have like 1 week a year where we shut off the water and we pray. But other than that, it's pretty reasonable.
Okay. So let me ask this question: how did you find crypto? Like, what was the catalyst for that?
Well, we're living on the bus. I would say so. First, James's best friend had mentioned Bitcoin to me in like 2014, maybe, and 2015, and I was like, what's that? Tell me. I need to get it. I need to get it. And he's like, no, it's okay. You have to buy it because he was dark web, and he would tell me like Opti, or I guess Amanda. I was an Opti to him. Amanda, you don't want to, you don't want to know, you don't want to go there. And anyways, he refused to tell me about Bitcoin. And then he ended up selling like I don't know how many when it was like really like nothing now. Like we're talking 2015. I think he sold a bunch and then he was able to like, quit his job and do some things. And so that was my first inkling, but I had no idea who to trust, how to buy it, where to go. And so I was always sort of curious. And then I was always sort of looking, but like I said, I didn't know who to trust. And then in 2020, was it 2020? When did GameStop happen? 2019?
No, that was 2021, was it? Or
Was it?
2022?
It
No, it
was
was the
really
end of
early in the
it should be
apocalypse.
the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was the like
2020.
the end, I believe.
Okay, so that we'd already gone through the beginnings of lockdown. We'd already gone through all that. And I had started building out the wandering footprint in the end of 2019. And then at the beginning of 2020, obviously. So the story of the wandering footprint was I just wanted to circle the wagons in the forest with a bunch of schoolies. And so I decided to create a tiny home show. And we only, where we ended up living was like a kilometer down the road from the fairgrounds. So I thought, I wonder if I could rent the fairgrounds and just have a tiny home show and like meet other tiny home people and maybe bridge the gap between the local landowners and the wanderers and maybe create conversation that could change some of the bylaws. And so I had put the money down for that at the beginning of March. And then, 5 days later, we were in lockdown. And so from there, I have cultivated what I call pronoia, which is the belief that God, creator, the universe is conspiring in your favor. Because I had felt like such a victim my whole life. I had been really addicted to trauma and I hadn't really understood what that meant until I started realizing that it's really where you focus expands, and really understanding how that works. So I cultivated pronoia in the, bringing my mental health back to normal. And I decided to move that tiny home show online. And so that's where the tiny home app was born. And then from there, that started making me wonder about crypto and what was possible digitally with digital currencies and, sovereignty and whether or not, and I had heard these things about Bitcoin. And so when the GameStop thing happened, there was just so much dialogue and there were people telling you how to go and get it. So I just started doing more research on, how do I even buy Dogecoin. That's sort of where I started. What is MetaMask? And then the following, so I bought I don't even know, $20 worth of Doge, and it was 7 cents, I think, and maybe $100. I think I bought it. I can't remember exactly. All I know is that 6 months later or a year later, when I went and got my tattoo, I didn't have enough money and I checked my Doge and it was $1,000. And so I took it out and I paid for my tattoo with it. And the next day, it dropped out. And I was like, well, that was good timing. And so that's sort of the beginning of that journey. And one second, I have to cough. So then it was so crazy because I started finding a lot of serendipity. I became a truther, right? So I basically had been compelled my whole life, but then with the dawning of the tiki-talkie and finding truthers there, I started sharing my journey with the buzz, with my own, mental health, with what I believed. And just like I had done with the blog, trying to not be afraid, not let fear control me. And I had this point where I would realize I was so afraid that they were going to censor us all, right? That they were going to take away freedom of speech. And so I felt okay, well then you should probably start talking.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to take it away, then you might as well find your voice before they take it away. And if the outcome ends up being what you think, well, at least you said what you had to say. And if it ends up being, or maybe you can change the course of history through truthing. And so I started, truthing the whole journey. And through this process, found out about the Zim bond, like, that whole branch of the highest timeline when it came to humanitarian projects and the Jubilee and Zim bonds and all of this sort of fringy idea of like what was happening, while also learning about, what the deletes really wanted for us. So it was sort of this juxtaposition of like complete devastation and complete hope. It was like this cross pollination, especially because I had lived in Zimbabwe and I had Zim bonds. So when people were talking about, this redemption, future potential of humanitarians finally getting their day, I thought what? Like people were buying Zim bonds and I was like, I have them from when I lived in Zimbabwe. And then there was just so much serendipity around that. And like, there's like a whole other story here. So there's like pockets of like long ass stories in all of these things, like the serendipity. And so that's when I started learning about Stellar and XRP. And I wanted to build, but I think it was like the end of 21 or 2022, I was nominated to be the Titan of the Truth Tribe for Thrivevolution, and it was a huge honor. And so through there, they were working out a DAO, and they had made a token on Ethereum, and they had been trying to convince me to make a token on Ethereum. But I was like, I don't think that's where it's at. I'm like XRP and XLM are cheap, fast, and easy. And so I ended up building a token on Stellar in 2021 called the Optimistic Coin.
I had no idea about this. Keep going, keep rocking.
Yeah. And that was sort of a full circle moment, because this journey I referred to back when I quit nursing school and went on like a vision quest in the forest. I had created this symbol that it sort of had worked through multiple stages. And then on April 14th of 2014, like I remember that because it was 4/14/14, and I ended up like writing it on the paper of me like drawing this huge image out. Fast forward another 4 years, I realized that was an ohm. And that's actually the symbol on the back of our bus. Here, I guess I can walk over and show you. And then Optimistic Prime was OMP. So it actually had the letters of my name in it. And so it just felt like, okay, I'm going to make a token and see what happens to it. And maybe, so that's the name right there, Optimistic Prime. And then, and so I essentially said, well, I'm afraid. Like I was very afraid. So that's the ohm. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can definitely see it, and I see how it matches up on your website too. We're gonna show your whole site and everything. We're gonna keep going.
It said 2018, just married, James and Amanda, Delilah Sterling, and then we added Jameson's name at the bottom.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I basically, what had happened was through being a truther, I just became very afraid of blockchain. And I was super afraid of digital ID, and I was super afraid of like, I was part of the truthers when they closed people's bank accounts for the trucker convoy. And it was all very terrifying here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up deciding that education was the way out, right? They say knowledge is power. And so I was so afraid. I thought, well, I should probably learn what this is all about and maybe, just maybe, find a way out. So I like to say that the only way out is through. And then obviously there's, a lot after that part, because that's 2021. We're in 2026 now. But yeah, I don't know if you have any questions from there, and then we can go on to the next part of the story.
I've got a ton of questions, but I'm gonna yield to G, and if you don't have anything, I'm gonna hit it.
No, I'm astounded. I'm just listening, absorbing it. So I'll let you kick it off.
Okay, let me show something to everybody here.
Yeah.
I like to show people's projects. That's just the type of person I am. So, and I'm gonna drop this in the chat for everybody. So this is the first website I'm gonna give to you guys. It's the wanderingfootprint.org. This is Optimistic Primes. This is one of her sites. It's got look like I haven't clicked on this in a while. Since you told me in Vegas. So I guess this is a link to all the projects.
Just scroll down. This is the honestly just scroll down. This is all the projects. This is where we're at, and essentially each one of these is its sort of own entity. It's like this is like my link tree except with explanations and pictures and yeah.
So in case y'all can't see it, she's got the blue umbrella token. She looks like you're on XRP Cafe, so that means you've got NFTs, which is cool.
My membership NFTs are on XRP Cafe, and I have the blue umbrella. I have 2 collections for the blue umbrella token, and I have 3. I released a new one this past year called the Remember the 5th of November collection.
Man, okay. She got merch too, which I don't want to start click crazy. I'm gonna go click crazy in a minute. I'm trying to do an overview so then I can go click crazy. So she's got everything. And then I saw the token. I didn't know you had one on Stellar. So you guys, hey chat. So I keep telling y'all this. You guys, the people who come on this show are beyond smart. They are on another level of this. We're blessed to have these people. So Opti, I take my hat off to you. Like there's things I know and there's things I don't know. And you always cease to amaze me when I'm talking to you and you showing me stuff. I'm sitting there like, so you got your coin on Stellar.
So I will say that I have slightly abandoned that. Like it's not abandoned forever, obviously. But the Tomo file, which was the original, ironically, BitHomp announced this past week that they were making an easier way for people to make a TOML file.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, that's where the token started. And recently I went to it. I was like, man, I should go and check out what's going on here because I don't know how to bridge yet. And I don't know what's going to happen. Like this is an experiment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back and the Tomo file wasn't connected anymore. And so I haven't actually gone to do that. So if you go, like all the info's there and like, you know, the issuer is there. So you could compare like the issuer to it. But like there's like I never promote it. It's like there's very little activity. There's the us original ones, and it's sort of just sitting there waiting for the next sort of vision. I mean, ultimately, I had found a few people through this process of like, well, when I first went on Lobster, they had a drop down of like stocks and bonds and stuff, and so I was like. I believed the stock market was going to move to Stellar in 2021. And so the fact that, and like, there's an interview out there that I'm like, this is what I believe, but this is not financial advice. Like, I don't know. I might be crazy, but like, this is just like, what the data in my mind is saying to me. And so, yeah, it's there, but I don't really promote it. Like what I've been really working on is XRP since 2023. And that was because I couldn't really find a lot of people in Stellar. I didn't find my community. And so there was like, I had so many questions. And every time I went to like any kind of like group chat, nobody would answer me. And I just felt very lost. And I was also very afraid of being seen by the wrong people because I was a truther. I lost my first TikTok account at 56,000. I lost my second at 55,000. I lost my third at 10,000. And then I have my fourth still, but then I got banned for 6 months. And so then I'm OPTI-Mystic Prime 5.0 on TikTok. And pretty much every time I do a video, I get either muted or it gets erased. So
yeah, they got
basically yeah. So when it came to Stellar, I just didn't find my community. I found my community with XRP people. So what happened was, I would share this stuff, and then I sort of found this community that started talking about XRP and the humanitarian stuff, and they're just super positive. And in that group was Maya. And I was around when Maya and Chris started making XRP Unleashed. And I was part of that crew. And so I ended up becoming such good friends with Maya that she would call me in between her interviewing people about like this crazy serendipity about like, oh my gosh, you won't believe who this person told us to interview next. We're going to interview Patrick and Greg in Alaska. We're going to interview Stephen Narioff. I was like, what is happening here? That my friend is building out a documentary about ETHgate and XRP, and I have like a front row seat to that conversation. And so through this process, I found my community, right? And then I was on Ladies Night with 68J. Maya suggested me to 68J. And then Melissa interviewed me with Dip a Toe. And then I ended up being invited to co-host Coffee and Crypto with Stone and Lady K. And it was just it was so exciting for me because it had been, 5 years about at this point of like working on, I guess 4 years. 2024 is when we're in 26 now, right? At 24,
I have that.
It had been 4 years, but it had been 6 on the bus. And so, and I had just launched the Blue Umbrella token. So the Blue Umbrella token was essentially my attempt to learn about the ledger in a lighthearted, not so lighthearted way, in honor of the truthers, in honor of Lahaina. When the fires in Lahaina happened, I don't know if do you guys remember that happening? Do you remember?
That was the one in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Where the
right. And then all the ones that had the blue roofs didn't get burned.
Yeah, that's a laser, bro.
That part.
Yeah.
And you do you remember there was 5 blue umbrellas that were untouched?
Yep.
So that's where the blue umbrella comes from, is that like we will not forget the children of Lahaina. And we will not forget what they did to them. And maybe we all need to carry around some blue umbrellas. So I call it the new tinfoil hat. And it was sort of like my way of learning and also subtly making people aware of like where I lie on things, because I mean, this goes sort of like circles back to the Wandering Home Directory, because when I started building, the controversy hadn't really kicked in. And so by the time the controversy kicked in, I had, quite a number of participants. And so I ended up writing a letter to everybody saying, like, one of the foundational principles that my husband and I live by is that we are together until we're not, that like, if this isn't working, then we leave amicably, that it's always a choice, that truth is always paramount. If there's, no secrets, and that, just please be honest. And so I wrote this letter to everybody that was part of it. And I said, like, this is what I believe. I don't believe in mandates. I don't believe in passports. And I don't believe in censorship. And if you don't agree with me, like, so much love to you, but this is not the place for you. And I had a lot of backlash. And so that was pretty shocking to me that there was so many nomads out there that were so compliant. And like, I thought, like, I'm like, you ran away from the government. Like, what are you talking about? Comply with the government. This makes no sense to me at all. And so that process was the catalyst into, the truthers that were XRP people, the truthers that were blockchain people. And so I started creating this vision in my mind of how, because the Tiny Home Show, which you're looking at right now, the Tiny Home Show, we're going to revitalize in May 2028. That's the dream. And I have not looked at this page since I made it like 3 months ago when I decided to actually do this again. And so, pardon me, the plan is to have this again. And the dream is thousands of acrehoods around the world, homesteads around the world that allow the wanderers, the nomads, to have a place to land, have healthy food, pursue their passions, learn new skills, and have home. And for the homesteaders to have hands and an income to allow for them to build out the things that they want to on their own land. And so everything I'm building is a reverse engineering of that. So essentially, the wandering home directory is what I would, so bring them together digitally, bring them together physically, move as one. So some of the tokens I've made are like, I've made a work trade token called the Footprints token. I've made the XOM token, which is the new reiteration of the Ohm coin on XRP, because I found out that X denotes supranational. So when you're doing a currency code, there's 3 letters, and if you have X in front of it, it means that you're not tied to a nation state.
Oh,
And so I thought, ooh, this is interesting, because I'm very for sovereignty. Like, I am a living woman given my rights by God, and you are not allowed to take away my rights because you don't feel like I should have rights, you know? And so through this process, I've definitely, I was never religious. I'm not a religious person. I was raised a Buddhist Christian. Like, you know, I believe everybody is entitled to their belief structure. And I always said since I was a little girl, like, I believe in everything so long as it doesn't hurt other people. But I would say definitely through the past 6 years, I have become acutely aware that the devil exists and that Satan is real and that evil really is real. And so I choose Jesus's side. Thank you. And so this journey that I'm on is, I just feel like I've been asked to do this, and I'm just following the signs and finding the people and staying true to my vision of empowering the people. And I believe that people only change unless they're inspired, and you can't beat nobody over the head with nothing. And so be the change you want to see in the world, and try to create the avenues of education that allow people to choose something better for their lives. And that's, you know, the sovereignty journey. So XOM token I made that September 11th, 2023. And so the Blue Umbrella token was made on February 29th, 2024, because I felt like I wanted to quantum leap into the future. So I picked the leap year, and then that would teach me everything I needed to about the ledger, so that when I finally launched the XOM token, I would at least know more than I did then. And so I finally launched the XOM token this Christmas, basically this solstice. It went up for sale, and I'm still working out the kinks. I had sort of decided on a structure, and then I scrapped the structure and went back to like essentially what I had envisioned in 2021 when I started thinking about how this was all going to work out. I had an idea, and after all the years, I was like, that was a really good idea. I think I'm just going to go and do that idea again. So essentially, the XOM is listed at the same price, half of the supply. So that way, you know, earliest in is the half of the supply, not the first guy who gets in the door and the bots. You know, you have to long-term hold it to see any kind of utility for it. And that's how I'm pursuing it right now.
So, okay, let's talk about the tiny home project. You said, so with the tiny home project, man, I got so many questions about that. So with the tiny home project, is the goal to like have your own tokens with it, and then let people, are they going to buy their own land, or are you looking for people that have land and say, hey, I can lease it for you, you can lease out my land for this, and come and build it up, and we could do long-term leases? What is your dream with the tiny home? With the tiny home project?
Yeah, so the tiny home show is just supposed to be the weekend of like getting everybody together and like, you know, like a convention, as it were. And now I'd like to tie an XRP into it. So that event will just be like an onboarding, a bridge building, and honestly, it's going to be the kickoff to us doing our cross North America tour. That's fingers crossed. So we'll set off into the Mystic with the new bus, Metatron bus, and get to travel. Sorry. Oh, the Amazon person's here. My daughter is into making balloon animals, and so I bought her balloons, and she's been begging all day. When are they gonna get here? When are they gonna get here? I'm like, when they get here, you can just give it to me.
That's beautiful. That is.
As you can see, folks, this is not AI.
No, we
OPTI Prime is a real person. This is a real interview. She's not a bot. as you can see.
It's so funny you said that, because the first time I got up on a stage to ask questions about the AMMs, that's what I was accused of. And I got really insulted because like it was like 5-10 minutes of like, are you sure you're not AI? Are you? And I was just like, ah, I'm out. I'm like, I wanted to talk about this stuff, and it was all about whether or not I was a real human. And I thought, and now with like technology and stuff, it's just so crazy that like, it is hard to tell. But yeah, so anyways, the tiny home, you asked about the plan for the land, so anybody and anything. So I have an entire structure of like, if you want to follow the wandering footprint vision, yeah, I have thought about like all the ways to try to protect the farmer, to try to protect the wanderer, contracts that allow the farmer to kick somebody off their land, should, things not be amicable without it being as controversial, like if you just have contracts and systems that like reduce the price the longer you're there, the more effort you put in. But essentially, there's so many people out there that already have a lot of these things set in place. Like there's a lot of wanderers and there's a lot of homesteaders, and so that's where the wandering home directory comes in, is that you can be at sort of any stage. And right now, like the goal for the 2 years that we're on the road is my dream is to have my own farm. That's been the dream for 20 years. And everything I try, turns into another year of on the bus. So, I've embraced it and I've decided, like, fine, God, I will take another 2 years to go on the bus. No problem. But in that process, onboard everybody to the wandering home directory, and then hopefully have that be home base for the infrastructure that we're building, hopefully around the whole world. And the dream is that you can find a place to park. And if you don't have enough money to pay them per night, you can work trade. And so you can get food and shelter and a place to do your laundry and some showers and a place to build out your dreams. So whether that's learning new skills like carpentry or welding or pottery or art, whatever, whoever's on the farm, whatever they teach, whatever systems they have, being able to be yeah, I just want to create a world where people are following their passions.
That makes sense. I mean, because right now everyone, and nobody wants to admit this, but it's the truth. Everyone is only working right now just so you can eat, right, and live. But it's like it's instead of working to live, you're living to work. And then at the end of the day, if the company or whoever doesn't want you anymore, it's there. It is. You're gone, and you got to figure it out, right?
Right. If you fall on the wrong side of the balance sheet, right?
Whoo, been there, done that. I got a hat twice.
Yeah, I got the T-shirt, right?
I got the hat. Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Listening to Opti, it's really refreshing to see that you chose the path of life versus subjugating yourself into a position of, okay, I'm obligated to go to this job. I just need to save up, for one more year and I'll take it. But then next, 15 years pass and you're like, well, what happened to the saving up for the 1 year and doing it, right? We and I say collectively and I'll speak about westernized humanity, we have found ourselves in these roles in these companies for whatever reason. And it's like we can't disconnect. We fall in love with the title as if that means anything. I'm executive director such and such. I'm a director such and such. And it's like, okay, if you're in the hospital, it means nothing. No. Right? If you step away out of, from that office, it means nothing in the world. And I think we've been misled to believe those things are important.
Well, and that's the thing that I found in nursing school is that so often these people who were in long-term care and stuff, like they had lived the same life over the same day over and over and over. And there they were with Alzheimer's caught in there over and over and over. And they had like retired and then like lost everything. And so, with my mom dying at 55, and James's dad died when he was 2 days old. So, we live in a world where you don't know. You know, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And because I had been raised on welfare and I, was quite poor as a child, the only way that I could travel was doing, class trips or exchange programs. So when I was 14, I went to France for 3 months. When I was 16, I went to Japan for a year. And then when I was done university, I went to Africa to volunteer to Zim. And then I taught English in Korea for a year, 2 years later. And so I had already sort of established that about my personality, that like if things weren't working, I would leave. Can you bring this to Delilah, please? Her balloons, yeah. They're making model planes and model planes and model cars right now, and so his glue has been. We bought these at a yard sale. He's like, "Mom, can you please check when my glue is coming?" I'm like, "It's coming tomorrow. I already checked."
Opti, you want to hear something weird that I never thought about it till you were just talking about it? In America, our perception is that everyone in Canada has at least a baseline and they're not poor. That they have all the basics. They have all that, right? Like in America, our perception in Canada is like they tax the crap out of you. But you guys have a baseline of living and food and standards. Where as far as here, it's like you keep what you kill. And we don't want to admit it. But we don't, you keep what you kill, and then there's sometimes you can get on a financial spectrum where it's no getting out of that, or it's almost impossible. So
you become that hamster on the wheel. You can't stop running.
Well, that's what happened to my mom. Like she used to tell me that like that was the problem with the welfare system. That once you start making any money, they take it off. So you can't just get yourself to the point where you could actually remove yourself, right? Like it was I remember this as a child, or in a teenager, her describing that like just the way the system works, you're sort of stuck. And I will say that the only reason we're surviving right now is because of child tax benefit. So we do get this thing called child tax benefit. I don't know when they started implementing it. It was my mom had a baby bonus, but it was never like it is now. And that's the only reason. So because I have always tried my best to be like, I was a 90 student. I speak 3 languages. I did everything they told me to do. I did everything they told me to do, and nothing, like I was a server every single time. I just was like serving, and that was it. And so also because the systems, like when I started realizing how corrupt the systems are, when I realized, like for me, the big realization that I wasn't going to work for the UN or NATO or anything was when I realized that the Rwandan genocide was all propaganda, and that neighbors killed neighbors for, I think it was like somewhere like 60 days before anybody came in to stop it. And I was under the impression that NATO was like a humanitarian project to help stop the war. And so it was through this that I realized, like, wait a second. And then I learned all about, just in international development was about how these companies are going into, these developing countries and just like slaughtering the people for the resources and having no accountability. And so, I learned very early about the time my mom died. I learned that the world was pretty messed up and that the things that I had been raised to believe about the world weren't true. So I never went on welfare. So I never got any kind of aid from the government until until we had kids. And then I was like, okay, I'm super poor. Because what happened is I got pregnant and I was terrified to have the baby because of how poor we were. And I was like, okay, well, you can't decide to not have a baby because of poverty. Like, that's insane. Like, you cannot. This is like winning the lottery. Like, I had emergency surgery in Bangkok, Thailand when I was 28 years old, and they removed an ovary. So the mere fact that I found a man that liked me, the mere fact that I just randomly got pregnant after he just said like, okay, I'll have babies with you. it was just such a miracle that making a decision, I was like, I thought I had like 5 years since I only had one ovary. So the fact that we got pregnant like the first week, I sort of had like a bargaining with God over it. And it was quite sad for me that I wasn't excited. I was terrified. And that was with each of the kids. And essentially, one of the things I am very grateful for with Canada is child tax benefit. But I will tell you, as soon as I can make enough money to compensate for that, until I can make enough money online, like, we will be leaving this country. Like, it is very scary at this point. There's so much going on here, and they're just slowly encroaching. And yeah, it's there's some really weird serendipity around my story too. Like, the last day that I was in nursing school, I was supposed to write a paper in support of physician-assisted suicide, because like my mom had meditated herself through death with no pain meds, and her best friend had moved to, was it like Oregon or something, where you can get physician-assisted suicide. So she had ALS, and so she died in a garden with her friends and family. And I talked to her daughter about like what that was like. So both of us had witnessed our mom dying, like right there in front of us, sort of like a serene process. And so I felt that there was a place for that in the world, but my concerns around it was, knowing how corrupt the world was, knowing how corrupt insurance companies were. I was so afraid that it could potentially be used for evil. And I just read a stat that like the Canadian government has killed, I think it was like 100,000 Canadians in the past 10 years using physician assisted suicide or something like really, really insane. And, recently they were having like conversations about, um, uh, I don't even know. I can't even say the word because it's just so traumatizing, but basically like non-consensual made.
Do you think some of that
So
stuff is going like that just because it's of the population, the amount of people in the population, and that
sorry,
this
say that again.
do you think that the government has implemented that policy or law or those laws or that ability because of a growing population, or is it, or they're just this is just one way they figure to curb it? Because you
Oh,
would
they save a lot of money on healthcare when they
yeah,
can
that's
sell
what
you
I'm saying.
organs, Fuma.
Yeah, that seems like that's what it is. All right, let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, we're done with this. Where are you looking to go?
Gosh, I mean, the States was never really on our radar until I started really understanding the Constitution. And, meeting all my magical internet friends who mostly are from the States. But like James and I have discussed Russia. We have a friend in our friend in Mexico who says that, she has a place for us to park if we bring the bus. That one guy, I think it's El Salvador, where he cleared up the judges and everything, and they seem to be a little bit more open to the white refugee, you know.
Bukele, Bukele,
But
President Bukele.
yeah, Bukele, yeah. But I mean, like the world is. I mean, I love Japan. I would probably, I mean, the world is so messed up right now. Like, are you safe anywhere? I don't know.
That's because I thought about. Well, I'll talk to you off air about some cool stuff I got going on that you'll be like. That's why I was like, do you have an idea where you want to go?
Yeah, so that's the part is
we can work. I got something we could talk about offline, right?
my magical internet friends. And I think right now, like honestly, we wanted to have home base in Canada at the very least to come home to, but right now they're on a full campaign to take the land. So property rights are disintegrating very fast here. And
Japan has a bunch of free homes.
right. All right. And I
They have a
speak
bunch of free
Japanese.
homes.
Yeah, I've looked into that. I've definitely looked into that. So really it just depends on like how to make money, right? And that's sort of with this whole wandering home directory, like the dream is to make the world home, right? Because like I've traveled and I traveled on my own and I never found myself in very compromising situations. Like anytime that I did, I got myself out of them. Like my intuition was so honed in that like I never, yeah, like I just was safe. I stayed safe, even though like so often nobody knew where I was. Like there was nobody checking in on me. Like my mom was gone. And so I believe that, one of the things that people don't travel because they're afraid. And so I think that when you start traveling and you realize that like the world really is full of beautiful people, and most people just want to have good food, share good times, and make good memories. And I just want to find all the people that want to do that.
And
And
drink a cold
memories,
one.
right? That part, and sit around a campfire, And so I believe that like if the more experiences are worth more than money, and that's essentially how I've played the past 2 years. Like, I've spent the only money I had has been XRP and crypto. And I basically, people have been so generous into sending me money for like my plane ticket to go to XRP Unleashed in LA. I won the trip to Austin, through shout out to the Uga clan and all the Bluminati crew, Bagman, because it was the moon party,
Yep.
and Team Vice City and Banana. The Ugas put on a competition, and I worked damn hard to win that competition. And so I got my flight paid for. And then Lloyd put me up in his, I don't know. You guys know Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd is in the chat all the time, man.
Yeah. So Lloyd's like, yeah, like my angel man. He just showed up and let me stay with him and took care of me in the city. And so everybody's been just so kind to me to get me to places and to celebrate, how hard I worked for so long, thinking like, just this one more thing, just this one more thing, and the dream is to make enough money online. And every time I sold XRP to like go somewhere, I'm like, wow, this will be called the, $6 million trip one day. But seeing and meeting my magical internet friends, I knew was worth that much, like it's the memories that count. It's not the money. So you try to make enough money for the memories, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
I mean, amazing, right? I just want to say on the crypto side, you keep going back to XRP. So my question is, when did you? I know you said you got into it. I think right around 2014, when you were kind of introduced to Bit.
22.
Okay, so 2021, 2022 is when you fully dove right into XRP. What drew you to the XRP, one, and then two, as you see today with this whole Clarity Act going back and forth? Do you believe once the Clarity Act passes that XRP will finally get its just due?
Well, honestly, like I see it a little bit differently than everybody because I feel like this is like the parting of the sea. And that imagine getting to the sea once it closed after the fact, that we finally have the opportunity to have a few more people join us on the other side, and so I feel like this right now is a gift for a lot of people to be able to, all of a sudden your $100 or $200 goes a little bit further than it did last year or the year before, which is pretty nice for some people. I mean, for those of us who had it or who are selling their memberships for $100 American and then we in XRP and then it drops to half price, it's been pretty tough for me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen during the Clarity Act. I mean, like what we are seeing is the complete financial shift. And that doesn't happen overnight. And like, 6 years on, almost 7 years on now, like I had no idea I was that early. I just thought like I thought it was going to happen tomorrow for 7 years, and I'm finally at a point now where, it will happen when it will happen. And hopefully I'll have a little XRP when it does. But I think that clarity is really important, obviously, because we're sort of banking on the deletes getting their way to a certain degree, right? Like that's sort of what is like the bankers using it, the infrastructure that runs our world using it. And sort of that's what I've been banking on. that they will, if they find me and they find my project, they're not going to destroy the rails that they've built for themselves. So maybe I can like sneak in under the radar and like make this whole alternative world using the infrastructure they've made. And so with the Clarity Act and stuff like that, I think it's good for people like me to have clarity, so to know how to be, how to comply. But at the same time, it has been really nice to be in the wild, wild west and just have a little bit of a hope and a dream, and try to build out that hope and a dream before they're coming to get me. But I definitely have fears around being, when they come and get me. But hopefully, like, get in, get out, right? Like, that's the dream, is that if there's ever a point where digital ID kicks in and you have to comply with whatever, we'll have made enough money, and we'll have the infrastructure established that we'll be able to connect in our own infrastructure. So that's sort of the long-term goal, use their technology to build out our infrastructure that allows us to be sovereign in the end. And that can only come with co-creation. Like, that can only come with many minds coming together and having, really deep conversations about how to leverage this shift to empower the people when they're doing everything to enslave the people.
Yeah, it's funny because my mom growing up would tell me, like, there's going to be a financial shift, right? Maybe you should invest in these dollars from these other countries. And I looked into it, I'm like, nah, that's not it. I know it's got to happen. And then as I got older and I looked at the debt and trillions, and then it's like, and then you start looking at historians are like on TV and YouTube saying, hey, it's about time to change up the financial system. Every country does it throughout history. No one's exempt, no one's special. And then you start looking at, the United States government literally telling everybody, like, hey, aliens are real, but no one cares, right? And then they slide in the oh yeah, we're putting all the stock and everything on this new technology, but we told you guys we're drug dealers and criminals for the past 8 to 10 years, but we're using it, and we've always been using Stellar, so let's keep going on. And so it's kind of like, like the people who they said were crazy or you're unhinged or you're a conspiracy theorist, everything you said has come true, and they're just giving you the validation now. You're just a little early, this has all been very interesting the last 2 years, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my
Okay.
daughter just came to the window.
Oh, no worries. She can say hi. We don't care. If you're comfortable with it, we don't care.
I just told them about your balloons and had a feeling I should buy her another one of the balloon pumps because she just came to me and told me her balloon pump is broken. Do you want to say hi? No, she's sad. So I have to now buy her a balloon pump because she wants to make her animals. Oh yeah.
So I've done this a couple times, so don't laugh at me. Do you have an air mattress, right? The pump from an air mattress will work as well.
He might somewhere.
If you've got the air mattress pump, it's got that little nozzle on the end. Pop that joker on.
Dude, totally. I have no idea where it is, but I have it in my head. It's somewhere. Totally.
Somewhere. We got a couple.
Great solution.
Hey, don't go, if you ain't got to buy it, you ain't got to buy it. Hey, if you got that pump, it works. Or if
I'll have to help her out with that afterwards. Yeah, it'll be a search because there's just boxes everywhere. We built ourselves like some lean-tos. James, we took apart an old shed and put it up this past year. So finally we have like 3 months ago, we finally have a shed that doesn't leak, which is pretty exciting for us because living in a rainforest all winter long, living on a school bus for 8 years is a little insane. It's like such a small space, so it'll be a little bit of a hunt, but I should be able to find it.
I think, honestly, you've got, here's the cool thing, and here's what happens to people. I think you figured out what the bare minimum is, if not above the bare minimum is, to live and have a family. I think that's good. There's a lot of people who have more in abundance and they still hate each other. right? I
That's
personally would have a small. I personally would rather have a small place and be with my family. Matter of fact, when me and my wife, when she was my girlfriend, our bed was so small we'd have to sleep on top of each other. It was ridiculous. But
He's lying. He's lying. What he
no,
meant to say was they like to sleep on top of each other for the love. They had enough room, but they just didn't. They just couldn't keep each other hands on each other. Stop it.
Well, you know what's funny is that like that was one of the things is that like when I found James, I wasn't in school anymore. I didn't have a job. I just lost my job while I was in the process of, it was the end of the summer and I am a server usually in cottage country. And so I didn't have a job and I was only like working like 1 or 2 shifts a week, which I couldn't pay rent. And so when I finally when I told you I walked into the coffee shop, well, it wasn't for 3 months until we actually hung out for the very first time. And, I didn't have anything. I had just given my notice and I had decided I was going to come out west to Vancouver Island to meet my dad. That was the plan. I was like, I'm like, all right, well, what next, Amanda? And I was like, well, you've been praying since you were a little girl to meet your biological father. And I had just received my first letter from him in like the year before, or the year and a half before. So it was the first time that like I knew his address and he was amicable to meet me. And so like, yeah, maybe at least I knew where he was. And so I basically decided to go out west. And so with James, he lost his license in 2011. And so I had a car and he had a house. And so essentially the first, I'm the only driver. He's getting his license back next week, which is pretty exciting for me after 15 years. But what we found is that when we didn't see each other, we would fight more. And so because he took care of me for the first 6 months that June, I was like, well, you're miserable. Like, you need to quit your job. Like, I don't like this version of James. And so he quit his job and then I worked all summer supporting us. And then, at the end of the season, I quit my job and he went back to the coffee shop. And so we had sort of always traded off and so that we could actually see each other. And so that's one of the things like the bus affords us, the bus affords us the opportunity to not break our back working. And even though, I tell my kids, like, if this was 1990 and your dad was making how much money he's making right now, like we could afford one of these houses. Like, don't think your dad doesn't work so damn hard every single day. And that's why we're poor. We're just poor because of inflation. We're just poor because like the apartments around us are between $3,000 and $4,000 for a 2-3 bedroom apartment. James makes like $2,400-$2,500 a month and he works 40 hours a week. And so, it's not for not effort. And so the nice thing about the school bus and living where we are is like, it's our rent is manageable. We can actually, I can put my kids into baseball. We can go for a drive. I can get pizza once in a while, it's our lives aren't just working because of, how we live. And so that's sort of been the trade-off. But of course, like I dream of the house and the farm and,
Well, of course.
all that one day. But I think spending
I think,
time together is the most important thing.
yeah, I think you guys made what was priority, right? Family. And when you look at what we get trapped in America with okay, Fuma, you get a promotion. Well, you got to get a bigger house now. And it's like, wait a second, time out. Why does every promotion comes with more debt? Right? It's like, why can't I just stay in the starter home? You can't stay in the starter home. You're making more money now, so you need an even larger home. And I think you guys are doing it right, focusing on your relationship one-on-one, and then focus on the kids as secondary, and let everything go to the wind after that, right? But I wish our culture and our community had that, because we spend so much on things that don't even matter.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I want the fancy house too. And like, if I had found myself in that position, I would have. But then at the same time, like, I wouldn't have had these 8 years to build. You know, I have so much,
Mhm.
like, that's what's so crazy. And that's why I take my child tax benefit. And like, half of it goes towards keeping the wandering footprint alive, you know, because I'm like, okay, so if the government's going to give me money, I will accept your money so long as I can build the infrastructure that lets me get out of the system and hopefully other people. And I would say that, I mean, first of all, I have no idea how everybody else is surviving. I have no idea how people are paying $1,200, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in rent or mortgages or whatever. Like, I got no clue. And I think that that's, you know, sort of what I'm trying to cultivate. I'm trying to create an opportunity for people to not have to wait to retirement, you know, to be able to travel and have a home base and have food. And should they find themselves in a position where they are being compromised to keep their jobs, which we saw in 2021, you know, I just wish that I could have built the infrastructure before so that the people who were stuck in making life choices that they may not have made for themselves should they have had enough savings or, you know, an alternative method of making money, you know, they might not have made the decisions they did. And that's super important for me. And I think that that's sort of what I had already cultivated in my life is like, let go and let God. You know, if you're unhappy or if the circumstances you find yourself in are compromising your soul, you should probably get out of those situations. And, you know, as like the money is not the most important thing, you know, who you are and your integrity and your dreams. And, but that requires such a level of faith. And, you know, through going through this experience and being literally like destitute in the forest with no money, um, and then just being like saved randomly. I would like to offer people the opportunity to not have to rely on the, you know, random woo woo serendipity, God showing up scenario that we had to, you know, because it's scary. Like it was the, you know, it was the dead of winter, or not the dead of winter, it was November. And, you know, we were kicked off the farm and we had no money. We ran out of parental leave and we're sitting in a forest and we are only allowed to be there for 14 days. And I think it was day 16. And it was both of our birthdays in November. And, you know, it got real cold and the giant, wood stove fireplace that James had hauled, the 1800s wood stove fireplace that James had hauled into the bus that we had many a fight over. I was very thankful that that fireplace was there. And then, you know, some random guy shows up and we're like, do you know any place where we could get a job and park the bus? Like, we don't know what's happening. And that's how we got it. And so I'm trying to allow people the opportunity to jump into the mystic of their own lives, and maybe having a like catchment, you know, a little bit of a safety net there so that, you know, you can just go find a farm and park there for the night and maybe get yourself settled. Or if you buy a $1,500 school bus, you can go somewhere where there's tools, you know, and maybe some plugs. Because like we didn't have power for like 2.5 years, 3 years. And so, you know, doing anything was just that much harder. You know, it was just survival. And we just got power back like last year. And so now James has his little tool shed and we're finally getting tools. And, you know, we're starting able to like actually build things. But that's what I'm trying to create is the infrastructure to be able to give people um the opportunity to, yeah, learn new skills, explore and passion, you know, fill their cup up with more than just job and drinking and, you know, the same old mundane bullshit. I think everybody hopes when they retire to travel. And I think everybody's like planning on their retirement to fulfill their dreams. And it's my goal to make, well, you know, hopefully with XRP and blockchain, we retire early.
Yep.
And also, you know, maybe you don't have to become a millionaire to live the life of your dreams, you know, and that's sort of what I'm trying to create with the wandering home directory and the wandering footprint vision.
Okay. So I've got some questions that need some answering. Question number one: what are your top 5 coins?
Yeah, XR. Well, my own top coins are my tokens. Just saying.
What do you think of the top 5 coins? It could be anything you want. You know, it doesn't have to be, oh, well, this is on the list. No, it doesn't have to be that.
Oh, that's funny. Well, of course, it's all my friends' tokens and my token, right? The Blue Umbrella token and X meme and XOM and Footprints. No, but like in the tokens that everybody knows, I definitely XRP. Oh yeah, I would say Schmeckles is on there. Zoj is on there.
Yeah.
It's my friend. You know, honestly, those are my top. Like they're on the different infrastructures that I would say XRP is my number one because all my magical internet friends are building on XRP, and that's why it's so special for me. You
Okay,
know,
so number one is XRP. What's the next one?
Stellar because also affords the opportunity for people to build on it for cheap, easy, and fast transactions.
Okay, what's number three? Could be anything you want.
You don't. Um, I
Give
don't
me
know. Lately, I've been looking into like ZBAC and what's another one that came up recently? I honestly, I've been kicked out of so many exchanges over the years that like I'm pretty minimalistic when it comes to all the other tokens. So I would rather say my top 5 are XRP meme tokens of my friends.
okay. So there's over two of them, so that's why you're not gonna give them to me, right?
With the XRP meme tokens.
Yeah, give them to me. So I can write them down and let everybody know what they are.
Yeah, okay. Well, like X meme, Schmeckles, Doge, Blue Umbrella
Wait,
token, which is mine.
hold on, you said
Um,
Schmeckles, right? Or
Schmeckles, that's James Ray. He's one of the oldest on the ledger, and he actually he does marbles every Friday night on Twitch.
okay.
You can go in and you can play marbles and you can win XRP prizes, and like the Blue Umbrella tokens are on that spinny wheel. And he actually got the rights for Rick and Morty, like all the images. So he has like the legal rights to use Rick and Morty, and he's just wonderful. He's in Australia and he's really, really special. Um, and then Zoj is classy Zoj, and he's
That's
been around forever. He built on 11 or 13 chains.
how do you spell
He's
Zoj?
XOGE.
Okay, Zoj, XOGE. Okay.
Yeah, and um, he's he's an incredible. He built Mad Labs because he's also very for sovereignty, and so he created a wallet where it's totally encrypted. It doesn't charge you anything, and it's a little bit less user friendly because it has like it doesn't take things from you, you know. So it's a little less user friendly, but yeah, Zoj, and then I mean, there's just so many of like the Reaper crew, now known as, oh my gosh, Revival. I think they changed their name too, but that's like Reaper, Arc, Ascension, Pillars. That's Patrick Riley's
Okay.
project. And his infrastructure has been around for like 4 or 5 years, and that's actually Zoj and Schmeckles are on that list. Like they have a burning mechanism. Um, and that whole infrastructure, if you don't know much about it, they were interviewed in XRP Unleashed. And Dipito has interviewed all of these people. If you're curious about any of these things, go to Dipito, look any of them up. She's interviewed all of the founders of each one. Right now, these days, like Bluminati, I thought was, you know what, that we know those boys, the fact that they made Bluminati token.
Mhm.
Really love that token. And not financial advice, obviously, guys. This is just my friends. Um, who else? Well, Bear. I mean, there's a rivalry between Fuzzy and Bear, which is just so hilarious to me that people like fighting over this nonsense. But
And that
I
Fuzzy is absolutely crazy. I was at the XRP Las Vegas thing, and I saw people going crazy over Fuzzy.
which is funny because Bear was there originally, right? So then there was this like crazy rivalry, and I was listening. You know, I just watch. I just don't get involved with the nonsense. But then obviously Uga's in there. Like I still hold my NFTs from Uga, and I was a counselor. I was made a counselor, so I have like this special NFT from them, which made me feel real special. XRP Man's one of my favorite people. He's really helped me out with the coding of the Wandering Home directory, and he has a red candle killer, the token. And then there's FML, which is Florida Man Landscaping, and they've evolved into Fintech Management Limited, and they have a token called FML. And so that's super.
I met them up in Vegas. Yeah, they're out of
Justin,
Jacksonville,
yeah,
Florida. Yeah, they're out of Jacksonville,
real
Florida.
special. Yeah, in Florida as well. Yeah.
Shout
So,
out.
and
I wasn't. Let's keep going. I'll tell you a story later.
yeah, and then obviously IMUTV, Niall, Fitzy, and Rob and their token, FNF Tempo. You know, their infrastructure is phenomenal. There's just I know I'm missing a few really integral ones, and I feel terrible. Oh, Farm is a huge one right now. I was there through it all too. It was so great. Basically, they would just make jokes about people being on X spaces and just taking up room. And so you call it farming, right? You're farming the stage. And so then that evolved into the Farmers Union. And then they actually found a token that was called Farm and CTO'd it. And then they're run by a group of them, and they're all pretty, they're pretty friendly with me, at least. They're very nice people, and they all have great sense of humor. And Cookie is by trade a financial advisor. So, it's interesting to have him sort of in the background having parts of the conversation. But then there's like people things that people don't know, like Meganon. He's a really good friend. I've known him for a very long time, and he has a token as well, a couple of them. And one of them is you can win silver, actual silver, like sent to your home, coins. So, I mean, it's for me, what I have realized about this whole journey is that it's the community that matters the most, and it's not the hype, and it's not the people who come into every space and tell you about their token and want you to buy their token. And it's about the people who are doing things and they have a token. You know what I mean? Like they're working so damn hard at their own thing that I know that they are good-hearted people with a dream, and that maybe their token will become something through just what they're creating. And I believe in the people.
Okay, so let me show you why I asked you that question. The reason why I asked you that question is I've started, I don't know what to call this, kind of like some digital artwork about tokens. And one of them I started is like, let's take a look. That was one of them. So I have people.
I scrolled. I saw them all.
You saw? So, and I can't get hardcore. So this is one of my people right here. That's one of them. You've seen these, and I've been putting these out. But I realized I had mainstream coins, but I didn't
Blair and Karen Link. Yep.
But I didn't have the coins that the people I rock with that they know, right? So it's like I can go to coffee and crypto in the morning, but I feel like a butthead asking a lot of questions during that, right? So
that's the point of it. No,
I was like, let me just chill out and I'll ask OPTI, like, hey, give me some coins. What are your top 5? What is this?
Oh, I have a list. Like on my Telegram, I have a list of all the tokens that I quote unquote approved of. Even so a couple more. Kita just made her token.
Oh yeah, I got that. Yeah, we go.
Right. And so it's brand new. I was there the day she made it. She's like, I'm gonna make a token, OPTI. And I was like, okay, well, I got a buddy who can help you. And she's like, okay. And then I was like, are we going to make it right now? And she's like, yep. I was like, okay. So I was on the phone with Chad. Oh yeah, Chad. So Chad is one of my favorite people. He's Phoenix Unchained on X. He made the blue collar dollar in 2021 on XRP. Huh. And he's a postmaster. Can you take the cat, please? Please don't stop it. And he's a postmaster, and he's one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. And he's one of the original Wandering Footprint members. And he has a dream of sovereignty as well. And so the blue collar dollar is going to be, along with his other infrastructure, transportation mechanism. So he used to be a trucker too. So when I told him I wanted to make these farms and have a place for truckers to pull in, and have a shower and laundry, and establish the networks to move goods and services across through between the farms, he's like, whatever, like I grew up in a big rig. So yeah, blue collar dollar is another one. And of course Melissa has not released it yet, but my favorite token of all time is the token, the Dippa token.
So hold on, when is the Dipper Toe token being released? And tell Melissa I'm gonna hit her up. I just gotta make it way. I gotta get air because Melissa's like one of the last people I want to interview in this series around. But keep going. But when is she gonna release her token?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it's just a teaser right now. She's she's doing what Melissa does. She observes and she interviews and she learns everything that she can. And it will be the best thing that was ever released on the XRPL because it's called the Dipito token. Like, it's just so brilliant that it has to be.
Okay, so I have to ask you another question. What's your trading style? And you could be like, I'm a hodler. I just get it and hold it for a little bit, then I'm gonna sell. What is your trading?
I try to trade and I really fail miserably. I mean, at this point, I'm glad that I sold a little bit, recently. When I need it, I accept whatever price it's at. And then when I have an extra $100, I try to buy it back. That's usually where I'm at. I've never really, I mean, I've tried to put in limit orders. Like a lot of my tokens, I'll have limit orders on, at increments, hoping that like one day it will kick in. But I don't really follow much of that stuff. I'm definitely a hodler for most of the community tokens I have. And when it comes to like the sort of bigger blockchain tokens, like, yeah, there's been a lot of times where I had to pay Canva or Wix or, the company that held the drag and drop program for my app, or now I have Claude and the AIs that I have to pay in order to keep myself going with the coding. And like these all cost, a lot of money a month, So that's when I sell, when I don't have the money to pay for the infrastructure. But yeah, I would say I'm a hodler and what is it, DCA? I think they call it. It's like when you're, yeah, I try to when I take up some out, I'm always trying to buy back in when I have an extra $100.
So let me tell you what me and G Money do. So we've got ledgers, and you don't have to have a ledger to do this. We've been buying Atom and staking it at 20%. So the price dips down, but it's still, you dollar cost average it. But the cool thing about Atom is you can compound the interest on it. You get paid every day, depending on how much you got. You get paid every day. But the other thing I know I use it for is if I want to get a coin. So I think it's like what, $1.50 right now or something. So let's say I want to get
$1.57.
Yeah, I want to get some coins, right? And I'm like, I can either reinvest the Atom I made that month, or I could say, what is in the 15-cent range, and I can get one for 10. I will literally take Atom and swap it for whatever else and get that, right? And then let
what are you on?
Oh, so that's Ledger.
On directly on Ledger. Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we got a ton of ledgers. I like Decent too, but Ledger lets you do more fun stuff because it integrates with MetaMask. But I'm just giving you that because if you stack, and I'm gonna let you go because G Money is all about the staking now.
Oh yeah.
Do it. Oh, it's free money. We put it like that. We say free money.
Well, I started to stake on Uphold, and then they removed Uphold from Canada. And so I haven't really done, like, every time I've gotten into something, I get kicked out. So I've gone through like 4 or 5 like different exchanges over the years. And, when they removed removed Uphold from Canada, I just haven't got into the next thing. Like, where do I stake? I think I'm staking Flare right now.
Yeah. So
right.
Go ahead, G Money. I'll let you talk.
No. Because you talking my language as soon as you got into the staking and on the ledger. So, what I would say for you, Opti, is to get a ledger, get that cold storage wallet, very similar to this or one of the different ones. And then that same 100 when you try to replace, I would recommend, this is not financial advice. This is only education. That's what we're just talking. We're just talking as friends. That doing it on Ledger, as Fuma said, where it pays every day. It pays. And if
Ooh, stack it
You
up right.
know, right. All depends on the validator that you choose. As high as 20%, some 13, 15, 16, 18, 20. You just got to pick the right validator to get the highest rewards. And it pays you every day. Every day. And then you could
And
use
that's
that
Adam.
elsewhere. Yeah, that's
So
Adam.
I'm pretty sure I got Adam like way back when. Like that was one of those originals that I had come across like when I started doing research on, the future of finance and stuff like that. But I think I got kicked out of that a long time ago. Um
quick
way
question.
back when. Oh, XDC, like that one is really hard to find on like purchasing. Being able to purchase XDC is really hard, but it's one of those ones. H bar, Algorand, all of those I'm very curious about, but it's so interesting to sort of maneuver, try to get them, and then like get them on the actual blockchain that they're from, and then learn all these things, like it's I definitely need to do more with the things I have. But like you guys know, there's just so much to learn and there's so many different ways to go. And I find that I sometimes don't make the right choices when it comes to the financial things.
So let's see if I have it real
By the
quick.
way, my daughter has been sitting patiently in the back here. She has decided she would like to say hi, if that is
Yeah,
okay
bring
with
her
you.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, she's just left now. Lila, that's so funny. She was sitting
Yeah,
here, she's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. I'm like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm in the interview. And then she just must have stuck out. But when she gets back, I'll let you know.
please. Yeah, that's all good, man. My son, you probably saw his. Is he back here? His butt was showing in the back of my screen a minute ago. But yeah, I got a son. I got a daughter too. The son he does TikTok. He's 15. No, he's 16. Excuse me, he gets his license next month, but he's 16.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. And I got a daughter who's 22, so I get it. I get it.
Crazy. Yeah, my friend Becky, she's the original who found me on TikTok, who's the original Wandering Footprint member. And when I met her, she had little kids and we were dreaming of like our farms and dreaming of the Wandering Footprint. And her oldest just turned 16, 17, I think. Yeah, you just turned 17. And then her second just turned 15. And I was like, oh, they were little kids when we started this journey and now they're big. It's crazy.
Do I have you on TikTok?
OPTI-Mystic Prime 5.0.
Let me take a look at here. I'd really start getting into TikTok, and you'll have all this. Do I have you in there? Yeah, oh, I think I do follow you on TikTok.
I have a lot of imposters on TikTok. So a lot of people have imposters on the X. I don't have any imposters on the X, but at one point I had like 30 imposters on TikTok. So this was about the time where I stopped doing a lot of TikToks because I was just so over it all. I was over people getting scammed in my name. I was over being censored. I was over having no reach, being suspended at the drop of a hat. And so I try once in a while, get like super enthusiastic and I'll go over there and I'll make a video. And I think you can scroll through the last three. I think the third one is muted.
Oh, they muted you?
Oh yeah, I have a full 10-minute video and there's no sound.
That's TikTok, man.
Because they say all the things you're not supposed to say out loud.
Yeah, I got hit when I was talking about the SpaceX.
There you go.
Yeah.
That middle one actually was the one that went the most viral. That's one that I did with James years and years and years ago. But the one to the left of it, that middle one, well, that's one of the very first Blue Umbrella ones. That one was all about the QFS and my interpretation of where it was all gonna go. But then the one right before that is the song, and it's like the Blue Umbrella. And then the one on this side is Tom McDonald's song and me and James singing to that. And then, yeah, you can it's my little life.
Let me do this. I'm going to copy that. Everybody, if you get a chance, I'm going to drop this in the chat for you. Please follow in the chat. Please follow.
Actually, if you go down to this one here, with me and my daughter, right next to the Wanderer one. Yeah, that's XRP Vegas from last year.
I don't have any sound up, but
That's Seattle. That's flying in. Yeah, there's the song and a song that I made on Suno in the background.
Oh, that was last year with Dip a Toe. Yeah, that was cool. Man, I'll tell y'all a story. So
there you are with your blue umbrella.
So that was the funniest thing at that event. So everybody, this is the funniest thing. So I'm at the airport. Marvin and his cousin Jay Henry come and pick me up. Shout out Marvin, Jay Henry. So they come pick me up at the airport. So they're like, we're gonna get you. You're not going to the hotel. You're gonna go straight to the Dip a Toe. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go straight over there. So I go to check in. I'm like, hey, I need to check in. They're like, okay, what's your name? I'm like, Zeddy Williams. And the lady's like, sorry, I don't have a Zeddy Williams here. I'm like, okay. So Marvin turns around. He's like, you got Zeddy? I just put his badge over there before I left. And she goes, I'm sorry, I don't have a Zeddy Williams. I'll pull this off, right? And I'm like, okay, I mean, you don't have a Zeddy Williams. And he goes, look under Fuma. So she goes, oh, I got Fuma right here. Oh, you're Fuma? I was like, yeah. She was like, that's what I realized. People don't know Zeddy. They know Fuma.
Dude, I did not know Zeddy, and you came up as a suggestion on Facebook. And I was like, I know that face, but I do not know this name. And I was like, I think you are Fuma. And I went, please accept my friend request. Thank you, internet, and all your algorithms to crack the code on the names.
Yeah, man. So I was like, that's when I realized, like, oh, I never took that name. They started calling me that because I had it on my screen once. And then they were like, Fuma. And I'm like, one day I was like, who's this Fuma guy? They're like, you're Fuma. I'm like, oh, that's how all this works. So, but this is dope.
That's how they started calling me Opti.
Really? All right, we got a couple more questions. So here's what we're gonna do, Optimus. We normally try to keep it at an hour, but lately we've been going 2 hours with everything.
I thought it was 2.
Sorry. But what we like to do is I want to bring you back. So this is April, May, June, July. July? April, May. No, we're going to June. We're in June, right? July. August. Because what I like to do is a follow-up. Like, how are you going with your projects? And I like to get it to where it's like it's a follow-up, and then we do a 2-month or a 3-month increment to always bring people back, because I find what's happening on these shows is people will interview you one time and you show your project once, and it really doesn't stick. So people need to get more acquainted. And that's what I'm attempting to do. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, I'm actually part of the XRPL Commons virtual hackathon this summer.
Oh, really?
And
tell us about it. This is stuff we want to hear. Keep going.
Yeah, so I was getting a little overwhelmed with everything 2 weeks ago, and then we did an after dark space on a Wednesday because Melissa wanted to figure out music on her space, and so we were trying to figure out her microphone and her songs and stuff like that. And our side showed up and talked to me about how he had applied, and I was like, I don't know, like I'm always I have fear around being seen by these people, and like just lots of different things, because I'm trying to create heaven on earth, and there's some evil people around the financial industry, and every person since the dawn of time who has tried to change the financial system has not survived very long. So I'm trying to fly under the radar of all of this. And so anyways, I'd met some people who I feel like I can trust, who knew those people, and they vouch for them. Farhan is one of them. He's behind Free World and Free Pay, and he's connected to Stone and the XRPL Cancun journey on the 888 portal this August, which I heard Kita talk about last week. And so he told me that they're pretty good people and to not be afraid. And our side convinced me, like, you're going to be coding anyways, you're going to be building anyways. Why don't you apply? And if you get accepted, you can get help and guidance and maybe win some money. So I applied and I got accepted, and I have 30 days from being accepted to being on mainnet. So essentially, I've just been building the wandering home directory again this is the third version. And my first two versions, the Tiny Home app directory and the original Wandering Home directory, were built on drag and drop programs. So this past year, started building using AI to like actually build out the thing in my mind. And that's what I presented at Vegas Shark Tank, the EZA Shark Tank. And anyway, so yeah, I got in and I have 30 days to get my stuff on the ledger officially. And so that deadline is July 21st. I have to have my infrastructure set up, and then I have till September 21st, I think, is the final deadline to so you can win either with the most amount of users, active users, the biggest volume. First 15 projects to 300 users gets 1,000 XRP.
And we do this. We do this. I hate to cut you off.
Yeah.
I gotta play. When you're ready to go live, and after you've done your first test, let's bring it on the show and let's have everybody in the chat hit it at the same time.
Well, you can sign up for beta testing now. Our 6-year anniversary is July 4th, Independence Day. That was the date of the Tiny Home Show. Was supposed to be on July 4th weekend, 2020. So that became my anniversary regardless. I still launched on that day. Okay. And so right now, you can sign up for beta testing right now. So if you go to wanderinghome.directory, or if you go to the first page on this, you should be able to link the link there. But the address is wanderinghome.directory.
Okay. Wandering home directory. You have to excuse my spelling. Okay, everybody in the chat, this is what we need you to do. Calling on the chat. I'm gonna put this in the chat for everybody, and for you people at home online who are gonna watch this later, I need everybody to go ahead and set up for a beta test. Jump in it and let's do it. As everybody, I'm calling everybody out who's in the Fuma Boys and the Crypto Therapy chats and also watching this. Please go ahead and sign up for beta testing. I think you're gonna like it. Because you showed this to me a little bit. You showed it to me a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, when we were in Vegas the first night. You was like, yeah, let me shoot. I was like, can I go outside and smoke? You're like, I gotta smoke too. So we went outside. We would just see, y'all. I have decent conversations with people, in case y'all wondering. But hey, we were going over to some of this, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this. And this all worked out because this is kind of what I wanted to do anyway. So
and you said I'll have to have you on the show so you can share about it. And so yeah, here we are, like 3 months later.
Yeah, literally 3 months later. Because I was talking to you, I was thinking like all this stuff, but it's kind of hard to say it when you haven't seen somebody in a while, and me and you're huddled over a phone, like, yo, okay, yeah, that's dope. I got some things that I want to talk to you about. But
I'm just excited about. Can you please just admire the XRP logo flying across the screen as the shooting stars?
Sorry, yo. I was, my ADD will kick in when you keep pointing stuff out like that, right?
I was so proud of accomplishing that. And then you can see it like there's the XRP logo, and that's the XOM logo. So between the two, I was super proud of that. And I had when I saw you, I had just I sort of got betrayed by my developer that I had found. And so this was me finally gaining full control, understanding GitHub, being taught by XRP Man, how to use AI, FML being there for me to calm me down and, let me know that create the infrastructure to let me know everything will be okay. And that's how I sort of, anyways, it was a sort of a team effort, which is the whole thing. It's a co-creation, right? It's coming out of my mind, but basically where we're at is the co-creation aspect. And so while I have the backbone that I made with the drag and drop program, right now I've been really working on the tutorials so that when you come in, you can actually know, okay, so before we go, so click info.
Where is it? Where am I looking?
On the wheel.
Oh. Info. Oh, info. Okay.
Yeah, click on that. And so this it's a little slow. So this voice vault, if you're looking to save your X spaces, I created that. Melissa uses it. She says it's really fast, really easy. There's links to my NFTs. If you go to the 2026 Nomad NFTs button right there, that I like, so the second one in, it says 2026 Nomad NFTs. Yeah. So this is what I'm hooking up to the ledger. So if you scroll down, it will show you. So membership's 144 if you're new. If you already have one, it's 111. This was me trying to attempt to convert it to in real time, so it checks the ledger every minute for XRP price. You can't buy it here yet. You have to go to XRP Cafe. This is what I haven't hooked up yet. But if you keep scrolling, you can see what the memberships actually look like. So that's already hooked up to it. It does keep scrolling, right?
Yeah. So let me address the chat. But yes. So chat, let me tell you guys what you're seeing. You're seeing an actual XRP ledger dev talk to you and break down her project and show you work in progress, X, Y, and Z. This isn't one of the people. How can I say this? I have to be, my words hurt sometimes. I've introduced 2 devs to y'all in a record amount of time and a music artist. Y'all are getting some great people here, man. I'm telling you, y'all are getting some great people who are developing on doing what we are all watching other people do. I'm not a dev. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to bring the knowledge to the people out here. So to let y'all know, like, hey, not only do you have this coin, but you have access to devs if you have an idea for a project. Hit up OPTI. Hey, OPTI, I'll pay you to do this and this and this. What are your thoughts? You have consultants that are really coming on here, y'all, who can help you out. Because if you ask me how to do this, I'm gonna say you better call OPTI. hey, get a check and call OPTI, dog, and let her help you out. Get some consulting hours. But
I would love that. I would love that. But I mean, so many people have helped me out for free. Like, the only reason I'm here is because of the generosity of spirit of my magical internet friends. And, we rise together, right? Whatever you're building, like, that this directory is meant to have links to all the projects and all the people, whether you're a blue collar worker or you're a healer or, or you're a dreamer or you're a wanderer, whatever. And that's like that first page, what you can see the categories. And then there's like when you go to home, there's even more categories. And so it's supposed to be the yellow pages of the people who are working towards a better world. And so the infrastructure I'm trying to create is to help people if they do want to build on blockchain, giving them all the information that I've acquired, and making their life a little bit easier, not this 8-year journey of like trying to find the answers and having such a hard time for all this time. But yeah, if you could just scroll down a little bit so that they can see the NFTs, that'd be super cool.
Look at that, y'all. And if you got Zaman, you can put it on the Zaman wallet, or if you know how to tie your Zaman into your ledger, you could tie your Zaman into your ledger and hold these on your own.
I wonder why those aren't loading faster. I am finding problems with the IPFS system, and I was warned that the IPFS pinata will throttle you. And so we are looking into, alternatives to storage of these things to make them load faster. That's a problem for a lot of people. But as you can see, I have unique NFTs
that don't show up anymore. I have to literally go to a different site to look at them because I don't know what happened, but I've got that issue. So I'm like, whatever.
So there's a lot, and if you can find the if it's a platform issue, if the platform that they were built on goes away, they eat in the metadata, you can find the IPFS, and there are people, and also like in our community, that are trying to be IPFS nodes. Essentially, if you pin that, you'll keep your NFT picture forever. I am collectibles, and Nile has been trying to pin as many NFTs as possible to sort of save them, because we've had an NFT platform go down. And so what happens is the image, what's saved on the ledger is just code, and the code points to the image, and the image is saved somewhere else. And typically it's IPFS, which is interplanetary file system, which is just sort of a new way of saving files in like quote unquote the cloud. And so if the person pinning that is gone, if the company is gone, or if they're no longer pinning it, then the data is gone. But if you become a node, you can pin your data and then it's allegedly there forever. So that's one of the goals I have, is to become an IPFS node, and then, for all of my community, and therefore we can save the infrastructure that, like you said, it sucks when you have NFTs that you can't see anymore and stuff. It's just sort of ridiculous.
Let's talk infrastructure after this, or maybe next time, or in a couple days, because I got some ideas. I've got a lot of ideas and a lot of places. We'll talk. Okay.
You can see that one stone. If you scroll down, that's my husband, James. And if you keep scrolling, like they're each individual, like I who bought them last year, I ended up doing each one like their own. First, there's Dip a Toe. You saw Melissa's. She comes out and dips a toe. If you keep going, you can see that's FML is the Admiral, and then one of the boy. Oh my gosh. For some reason, his name is escaping me right now, and I feel terribly embarrassed. But he's a welder, and so, and then who is that? There's Lloyd, the fly on the wall. Steak with XRzillas. So yeah, a lot of our community are people and essentially what I did this year is I personalized the NFTs, and it's not forcing them to get them; it's just celebrating if they get them.
Sorry about that. Give me 2 seconds.
No, that's pretty awesome. Just kind of seeing the expansive nature of everything and seeing that kind of connectivity fiber that you have with the community. So that's wonderful. But don't short yourself. You can definitely do consulting hours.
Yeah, anytime. I would be happy. Please just send me money. I would like to go to XRPL Cancun.
Oh, fun, yeah. Yo, I think Fuma's talking about that. I think that we may go. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to coordinate calendars.
It's gonna be so epic, man. 888 portal, and then just be sure to make sure that you book going to the pyramids with your magical internet friends, because that's the part that I want to go to so bad. Like there's a tour out to the Mexican pyramid after the event, and I mean, what I would give to do it. So right now I'm going back home for the first time in 8 years. I've not seen my friends and family since we left in 2018. And James's mom has sort of been begging to meet the kids, grandma, and they don't have grandma because my mom passed away 23 years ago. So it's sort of important to me, and she offered to pay half. So we're flying out there. I'm in Toronto I'm staying with her with the kids because I couldn't send my little kids on the plane by themselves. So if some miracle happens, I have grandma to take care of the kids, and I will fly down. Crazier things have happened in my life. And I won't say I'm not going until August 4th, until everybody else is there and I don't have a plane ticket. Otherwise, I'm still, doing my best to build this out and, build out this dream and try to fundraise money with my NFTs. And, who knows? Who knows what will happen? But if you have the money and you have the time, I would say that going to this event will be life-changing, and it's supposed to be for fun, right? Like it's a convention, but it's not really a convention, right? It's going on vacation with your magical internet friends, and it's going to be beyond epic. But also put in the Tiny Home Show in your calendar, please. May 2028. Would love to see you there. And of course, there's Ripple Swell in October too, that a lot of people are going to.
Where are you going to do the Tiny Home Show at?
Right here on Vancouver Island, right down the road.
Yeah, we're going to. So I've got 2 calendars coming out. One calendar is going to be where everybody's show. Because I was talking to Crypto OG the other night. I'm like, I got a problem. He's like, what? I go, everyone has a show and we're all stepping on each other. I said, it's fine that we step on each other, but we all should know who has a show at what time. right? So he's gonna help me put that together, and so I'll start collecting everybody's showtime, and we'll be able to post it. And then also when it comes to conventions, I'm starting to see that too, where certain people will have a convention, but we're waiting on dates. So I just want to kind of get things organized.
Yeah, well,
Just
actually, if you go back to the very first page here, so go just on the top left on the tiny little footprints.
yeah, you have that?
Yeah, so so right now I have the two. If you go, those are the two events right now on the calendar. So XRP Cancun and Swell, and then I'm going to be setting up a page of like a calendar of like um all of the different times that the shows are going to be, and like there's not to dissuade what you're doing.
No,
Maybe that
I
too.
add mine to yours. If somebody, long as somebody's doing it, and I can pump that link, that's all I care about.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And like what's so crazy about this journey is like the dream was originally for the tiny home people, right? And what happened is when I lost the original, I lost it because I couldn't afford it. And I was paying this drag and drop program, it was like $1,500 for the year. And I was paying monthly. And then the first, 2 years ago, I had enough money. Well, I wanted to go back to monthly and they wouldn't let me. And so I was like, well, the search didn't work. There were so many things that were wrong with it. I just couldn't justify. I'd already proven the concept. I could not just keep building on the infrastructure that was broken.
Yeah,
And
sometimes
so what's crazy about this is that what's happened is my foundation has become my magical internet friends that are all XRP blockchain people. And so what's happening is that when I go out and re-onboard the 5,000 people I had on the original app, the first thing they're getting onboarded to is the ledger and my people. And so one of the other aspects of this, like, I'm going to put a whole section for like all your shows, where you can either, just have links to your shows in chronological order, or a backup where you can upload your shows so that if they do censor you, they decide you don't comply with whatever nonsense they have this week, you have a place. And that's why I have the download your X spaces. It's because they were getting rid of, well, they don't promise to keep them for more than a month, I think it is. And they were getting rid of communities, and a lot of us had made communities and saved our X spaces there. So I was trying to, help save the voices of the XRP ledger. And so you'll see that comes along eventually. But right now I'm just working on the tutorials so that you can learn how to navigate. So as soon as you make an account, so scroll back up for a second.
give me a second. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting to take this thing off my computer. And what it is it's supposed to shut off my screens at 11, but it won't let me override the shut off. So so that's why my screen shut off. But I'm back now.
Oh, funny. That's so
And
funny.
then I'm trying to look at the chat too. So where do you want me to go?
Yeah, so as you can see, okay, well, just before we go where I was going to take you, so click Nomads. This is the only one that actually has like any images uploaded right now. This is what we're working on, is getting all the images back for all the categories.
Okay.
So this is how it's structured. So essentially you see bus life, van life, tiny home life, RV life, boat life, house truck life. And so this is, each one, if you click into bus life, then it has each, each size of bus. And as you can see, there's all of these are the pictures that have not been uploaded. So there's like over 500 categories. And so part of this is, finding copyrighted pictures. That's, one of the hardest things. In the original, once we had listings, I was using images from the listings. So that's what we'll eventually do again. But in the interim, being able to have images, so right now I'm like trying to work with AI and whatever. But I just wanted to show you like sort of the way that the directory is set up. But then if you go to the top, the hamburger, like the menu button off top right hand corner with the 3 lines, yeah, that. And does it have first steps? Yeah, I think you can access first steps without having an account. The one right below, 2 down, first steps.
Did I create an account? I'm gonna have to go through this. All right.
So this is the tutorial. So this helps you learn like where things are, how things work, what buttons do. And this is where I've established the footprints token I was talking to you guys about before. The footprints tokens are meant to be work trade. So this is my very first, like my reverse engineering the utility of a work trade token and how it would use. So the more effort you take to learn about the Wandering Home Directory, the more footprints you earn. And that will sort of tie into the co-creation on the long term.
Okay.
And if you're curious about this page, I did do a small tutorial on this page on the Digital Ladies Unscripted, which we do every Monday night at 9 p.m. same time on the Dipito channel and the Digital Ladies Unscripted channel. That's with Melissa Kita, Lady K, and me, Opti. And every week we showcase some part of something that has to do with blockchain or the ledger. And last week I showed off this page. I'd finally got through the first footprint tutorial because it's expanded dramatically since I was in Vegas. In Vegas, the idea just came to me and I'd only done one, and now there's 10 to sort of stretch out the information and have people find members of our community and navigate through and really learn how to be a co-creator. And you know, my biggest ask is that if you become a beta tester, this is co-creation. Like, there's a feedback button for a reason. Any idea that pops into your head, like, man, it'd be cool if this was here, or man, I don't like this. This isn't, you know, this wasn't easy. This was really annoying. This was confusing. You know, whatever it is, there's a feedback button for a reason, and you will not insult me by, you know, helping me to improve the onboarding and, you know, the process of sharing what it is and how it works and sort of the long-term vision, because I know it's very extensive and there's a lot and it's hard to, you know, it's very confusing. And so this is my attempt to simplify it and have you earn footprints tokens in the thing. So hopefully by the 21st, once you complete this, if you give me your wallet address and have a trust line to the footprints token, you will actually get a footprints token in your wallet on the completion of this page and subsequent pages. And it's
Okay.
not for sale. It is only earned.
All right. So let's try something different. All right. This is going to be for the chat. Unless G Money has more questions. Chat, do you guys have any questions for Optimistic Prime? You gotta have something. Hey, Opti, you can smoke on my show. We don't care. I usually smoke Black and Miles and have some drinks. But we don't.
I'm at that point in the conversation. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
we
it's been
don't
2
care,
hours.
Opti. I've been on a show like outside, like we don't care here. We're good. It's not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to open it up to the chat because I think we've been kind of dominating Opti's time.
Yeah, chat. You guys have any questions?
Well, I feel like I just chatted the whole damn time and you didn't barely ask me any questions.
That's what we like. Like, so okay, so we had Brooke on here. She was like, "What do you want to talk about?" I said, we just chill and ask a couple questions." And Brooke just ran. And then with Keto, same thing. What do you want to talk about? We want to talk about your projects, what you want to talk about. Get on here and run. We good. This is how you know how many times I've been on a show with someone I had to carry a show? Not like when I've interviewed someone, I just had to constantly ask them questions versus just we want you to talk about you. This is what we're here for. You know,
Fair.
so
Well, yeah, you got a very eclectic version of, you know, a lot of it, which is really interesting. And shout out to Brooke and Kita, like 2 of my girls, man. Those 2 are superstars. Like, Brooke was part of the original crew when I was describing the Maya and the XRP and that was Brooke was there. And so she's watched me this whole time cheering me on. And now she's finally, like, she called me a couple months ago. Oh my gosh, I have the greatest idea for how you can advertise the Wandering Home Directory. And like, she's now really sort of seeing the vision, which is super great. And then Kita, like, you know, with her Kita's Brew and her learning how to do the real world thing and tokenize it. Like, this is what the Wandering Home Directory is for the people who are trying to build out their dreams and use the blockchain to empower themselves.
if you can make an ad like an MP4, I'll upload it and play it on all the shows. We don't care.
Yes,
Yeah,
please. Yeah, that's the one thing that I've had a hard time with. Like, same with IMUTV. Niall said I could, do that. And if you have an ad, you should definitely actually have. Do you have your shows on IMUTV yet?
So I was talking to Zam about that. He was like, "Are you on IMU? Have they reached out yet?" And I was like, "Nah." I said, "So I'll tell the truth. So I won't get in hot water. IMU TV reached out to me when I was in Austin, Texas, and I said, okay, but I never followed up because I wanted to make sure that I had the appropriate format, content, and things coming out, because I didn't want to come across as shoddy, or he's not dedicated, or he's not that. So when you're doing shows and you're working with other people as well as yourself, and then you may have an advisor or two, you got to kind of figure out your format. So it took me a while to say, okay, Fuma Boys is primarily music and knowledge and a couple interviews, and then Crypto Therapy is talking and interviews. So now we've got it set up because G Money stepped in to help out and to help run all the shows. To Fuma Boys is going to be music and maybe an interview every now and then, but Crypto Therapy is where we talk, right? And then Crypto Therapy is where we talk. We may do some interviews. We talk crypto, and it doesn't even have to be about crypto. It's just we just talk like about your stuff, right? So, and also, this is the other reason, doing a Saturday, 2 shows on a Saturday back to back. So I was doing Fuma Boys and I was going directly to Crypto Therapy. It was nuts. And then now,
That'll burn you out.
so now, because G Money, the way he helps out is G Money can run a show. You know what I mean? And then G Money's gonna have a show. He's got a show getting ready to come out. So, and I can support him. So, and then I started working.
All in divine timing, and like 6HJ's there, Kita's there. I mean, she's just showing up and doing her thing, and I'm so proud of her for being brave enough to put her show on IMUGV, because she was sorting all that out too. The format and how the flow goes, and what's she going to talk about. And I mean, she had Kita Keep It at 100 with Kita on Thursday nights anyways forever. So this was sort of like the reintroduction of it with the Kita's Brew on the Thursday night. But yeah, I mean, G Money, we know some people, and IMU TV's in like 40 some odd countries now, and it's on the Apple App Store now, and it's on all Samsung devices, and they're incredible, and it's basically the MTV for the future, except they're XRP centric, and so they have a place for all of our shows. So all of our magical internet friends have shows there. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, really. Like, the fact that when I was in Florida, at Alan Staples' event, we rented a house, and Mr. Man and Stone and Lady K and Kita and Melissa DiPato, and who else? Well, Chris, Lady K's husband, and Mr. Man's wife was there, and Tangi lived close, so she showed up. Mr. Zam. It was just so crazy to have us all in the same house together. And what was even more remarkable is we're all leaders, and it's really amazing to have friends that are leaders. We're all up to something, we're all doing something, and we're all raising each other up, and I think that that's what's phenomenal about this community is that finding all the people with dreams, and that they're willing to try for them, in whatever age. We're all in our late 30s or, 40s, 50s. Some people we know are in their 60s and 70s. Shout out to JP in his 70s. And it's just amazing.
I'm 21.
To see people. Yeah, right. I heard you guys knew each other for like 25 years at this point.
This is so cool. Oh man, I guess no one in the chat has questions. This is interesting, but it is what it is. So I tell you guys what, let's do a replay in August. You guys, let's close it down. But Opti, I'm gonna let you do a 1-on-1 to close it down. You cool with that?
Yeah, like you want me to land my plane?
No, I'm gonna give you a solo. I'm gonna give you a solo and let you close it out for us.
All right. You have no more questions? The two of you have no more questions for me?
No, we're gonna have another session. So
yeah, we're gonna need another session.
And we had 218, and you'll see. I got to make AI out of this. I got to do some cuts. We're live and that plays, but what I do, just so you know, is I have these AI credits. StreamYard will cut it all up for us, right? We don't have to worry about anything. It'll make the cuts. I'll take all that and the show, I put it in a OneDrive, and then I give you access to that OneDrive, so you could take all this and post it on your channels, do whatever you want with it.
Oh, super great. Melissa been talking about Opus, and that's really great for clips too, like pulling sort of moments in the interview and making shorts with them. And she's really loving that right now. So I'm not sure if you know much about Opus, but I don't know if she has an affiliate link, but definitely, Melissa, if you're watching this, Fuma needs an affiliate link for the Opus. But yeah, okay, we'll land in my plane. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Hold on. We don't do it like that. Hold on, let me show you. Here you go. Hold on. There you go. Go ahead.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you. Not okay with me not having the two of you right here. I'm talking to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for dreaming big still. Your dreams matter. I truly believe in heaven on earth. You cannot change the world from the same energy field that it was broken from. It requires thousands and thousands of people believing in a better world and taking action in the present moment aligned with their highest purpose. And so I believe in you. I believe that your dreams matter. And if you got some time and you wouldn't mind signing up for beta testing on the Watering Home directory, checking out my NFTs if you'd like to support my ventures. And as my mama and my grandma would say, angels on your pillow. And I'm on Coffee and Crypto Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. for the rest of you. Digital Ladies is Monday night. Tuesday is the Woo Woo Book Club on X. We're reading the third book in the Celestine Prophecy series right now, Secret to Shambhala. Wednesday's Dip a Toe, Thursday's Kita's Brew, Friday's Friday Fiesta with Steak and Bake Mr. Zam Kita. Saturday is karaoke with Lady K, and Sunday is cryptotherapy. And don't forget 6HJs. Our community is full of incredible humans, and if you're looking for people to trust, I'm collecting them.
That is awesome. All right.
And Dee Dee wants to say hello. Say hi.
Get her. Hold on, step up. No, get closer, Dee Dee. Get closer. Oh, she got the balloon. What are you gonna make?
She filled it with water.
Oh, she filled it with water. All right.
It's the biggest water balloon of all time.
All right. So, what is today? Today is Sunday. I'll see you all tomorrow for Fuma Boys. Optimus Prime, thank you for showing up. She's going to come back in August. We're going to do a round 2, and we got a lot of stuff. G-Money, you got anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate it. You have an amazing story. Hopefully I get to see it on the big screen one day. Whether you're in it or you're going to use AI, I need to see this.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And in the end, I mean, we all just win by keep trucking, right? Keep trucking.
Keep trucking. All right. Stay on the line. Stay on here. I'm just going to close out the show. Everybody have a great night, and God bless you.
Peace. And happy Independence Day to America and Canada Day.
Yeah. Happy Independence Day. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Cryptotherapy 589. If you clicked like and subscribed, you're officially part of the Smart Money crew. Don't forget, we're here every week with fresh insights to keep your crypto game strong. Until next time, stay sharp, stay decentralized.